Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is 4 Paws in a Book. I make book and lifestyle related content, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Today I have a book haul for you and it is not small! It is a really good thing that I did an unhaul last week because I hauled books, a lot of books. Now, a lot of these are for projects, and so I will be reading them in the near future. There's a lot for Realmathon, as well as something that is going to be announced later on for May. But it's still a lot of books, and, I think we're moving in the wrong direction. I guess technically we're not, because I did such a big unhaul. So, if you remember from my last book haul, we were sitting at 252 physical unread books. That's a lot. But I did unhaul 22 books. I will link my unhaul up above. There was actually like almost 40 books on that, but 22 of them were originally on my physical TBR. So that brings us down to 230. And then in March, I actually had a really good reading month. It started out really slow, but somehow by the second half of the month, I was on a roll. So I physically have read 13 books that were on my shelf. I'm not going to get them out, but that puts us down to 217. So that's not bad. That's slower than it has been in a while. I'm really hoping that April is going to be a fantastic month. Obviously, we have Realmathon, we have Magical Readathon. There's a lot going on, and I'm hoping to, get a whole bunch of reading done. Will they be books that I've actually, had on my shelves? We can't tell. Let's start with the books that I have already read. Either I read them in March or I'm purchasing physical books of ones that I've already read. We have The Pledge by Kel Dietrich. This is a book that I read with Kel on Sprint, which was pretty fun, and it was a 3.5-star read. Then we have Burning Roses by S.L. Huang. This is a book that I read for a video, and it was a fine book. This is a retelling and kind of a two fairy tale characters kind of rehashing war stories. It was kind of fun, but I gave it 3 stars. Then we have The Beast by Katie Robert. This is the last book that I needed to complete my Wicked Villains series in paperback, so I've been trying to look for them on Pango, and so this one was the last one that I needed. I have the whole collection now. We have The Adventures of Amina Al-Srafi by Shannon Chakraborty, or S.A. Chakraborty. I read this one in March, and I gave it 3.5 stars, I think. It was good, but it wasn't exactly what we wanted. Then I have Love After the End, an anthology of two-spirit, indigiqueer, and speculative fiction edited by Joshua Whitehead. I read this for the Trans Rights Readathon, and I gave this one 3 stars, but that is 100% a me thing. Short stories are really hard for me to really get into loving the story because I'm such a character-driven reader. We have Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. I actually can't remember if I hauled this one or not last month. But this was the group book for the Tor.comathon, and so I did read this one last week as well. And lastly, I did fall down the rabbit trail of Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. This is the last book that I read in March, and I loved it. 5 stars. It was fantastic. Despite it being a YA fantasy, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay, so those were the books that I have read. Now let's talk about the books that I haven't. So we're starting at 217 books, and we're going to go up from there. This haul is predominantly fantasy because of Realmathon and a couple of video projects that I have going, but I do have a couple of dark romances, which might be kind of fun. Wretched by Emily McIntyre. This is the 3rd book in the Never After. The first one is Hooked, and then Scarred, and then Wretched. I think this is a Wizard of Oz retelling? ? Haven't read it yet. Radiant Sin by Katie Robert. This is the 4th book in the Dark Olympus series, and that's basically Greek god romances. I don't know why I haven't gotten to that one yet, honestly. And then The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. This is a Peter Pan dark romance, and it's super short, so it's gonna be great. I only got 2 books on a book of the month. The first one is Lone Women by Victor Lavelle. This is a historical horror, and I don't know much about it, but I've heard really, really good things from people that had advanced reader copies. And then Wayward by Amelia Hart. This is a cover buy. 100% this is a cover buy. This is an aesthetic, let me tell you. And this is magical realism, and I think that there are 3 different timelines. So this actually could work really well for Realmathon. It's also really short, so it's not on my official TBR, but it could be. All right, next we're going to talk about some books that I have for projects. Now these are all secret vlogs, with the exception of a Spiffbo book on here, but you'll see what I'm doing later on. Let's talk about the Spiffo one. That's Tethered Spirits by T.A. Hernandez. This is actually a YA fantasy, and I'm going to put it down because it's getting a really bad glare and it's really messing up my lights. But it is one of the books that I'm reading for SPFBO. You should either have just seen that vlog, so I will have read it by then, or we'll see it sometime in the near future. Okay, Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is a book that I'm reading for a vlog project. This is a very well-beloved fantasy book about like assassin nuns. During Realmathon, I want to do a week of fantasy romance, so I have a couple. King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair, which is one that like TikTok has been raving about, and then The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. First off, another beautiful cover, is a book that I've heard a lot of people talk about. A lot of people have it on the Realmathon TBRs, so we might have some sort of like unofficial buddy read. I don't know, but those will definitely be read in April, so they will not stay on my TBR very long. Okay, and then a couple of other projects that I'm doing. I have Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. I think this is a like Great Gatsby type fantasy. I'm very hesitant about this one because it's not a time period I necessarily love, but it was highly recommended to me, so we'll see. And then The Woman Could Fly by Megan Giddings. This I think is a horror fantasy, possibly. It's from the author of Lakewood, which was a horror, but it's a piercing social commentary reminiscent of Shirley Jackson and Octavia Butler, about the unbreakable bond between a young woman and her mysterious mother. Cover, again, stunning. We're just here for covers today. I'm still definitely on my Darcy Coates binge, so I found The Haunting of Ashburn House at a Half Price Books when I was out in Austin, so I had to pick that up. This one says there's something wrong with Ashburn House. Everyone knows about Ashburn House. They whisper that its owner went mad and restless goats still walk the halls. But when Adrienne, desperate and in need of a place to stay, inherits the crumbling old mansion, she only sees it as a lifeline until darkness falls. And then I picked up an entire trilogy because I'm going to do a series marathon similar to what I did to the Bromance Book Club, reading this one. This is the third one. The Whispering Dead is the first one, then The Ravenous Dead, then The Twisted Dead. Lastly, some books that just are made it onto my shelves somehow. I don't know how. The 1,000 Names by Django Wexler. I'm very upset that this is a mass market paperback because they didn't say it was on Pango. So very upset about that. But I guess it can, you know, hang out with Red Sister. Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is the second book in the Gideon the Ninth series. I bought that one because I was trying to get The Never King, and I was like only a couple dollars away from like free shipping for that seller because they were doing a sale. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll just pick that one up too. As one does. I also got The Girl in the Stars by Mark Lawrence. This is a polar fantasy, and this one's been sitting on my shelf for a while, and I was like, oh, I could do Polarathon, and I'll read that one. And I didn't do that. So it's still on my shelf. It's fine. Redemptor by Jordan Afueco. This is the second book following Raybearer. And I found it for a really good deal. And it's gorgeous. See? I think this was a Half Price Books find. Listen, I don't have Half Price Books in Utah, so anytime I travel, I have to go, you know, see them. Siege of Rage and Ruin by Django Wexler. This is actually the third book in the Ship of Smoke and Steel, his YA one, but I haven't been able to find the second one on Pango yet, so here we are. And then 2 sequels of books that I am obsessed with. The first one is A Shade of Madness by Tiago Abdallah. This is a sequel to A Touch of Light, which I read in March and absolutely love. And then Flamefall by Rosaria Munda, which will actually be my first book of April. So by the time you're seeing this, I've already finished that book. So that is my haul. I wasn't counting, so Editing Brie will let you know how many books that is. Sure, it's a lot. It's fine. Let me know down in the comments below a book that you are excited for me to see me read, or if there's some that I should be prioritizing. That is all I have for you today. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.